Hi, good morning, guys. So I started this painting that I just really did not end up liking. I don't like the colors, but I don't want to waste the wax. So I'm gonna go ahead and scrape it off. And so for those of you guys who want to know how to do it, I'm using this clay sculpting tool. And there's two ways of doing it. You can go ahead and do it straight like this if you want to just enjoy the process, or if you want to speed things up, you can use a torch and just warm it up and then scrape it off. So those are the two ways. I'm going to do both. So I'm going to start off by just scraping the wax. Sometimes it takes a while to get the groove in there. As you can see, it's coming off pretty easily. I don't have to press too hard. And I'm going to be able to reuse all of this wax afterwards. I'm going to scrape until I get to the white part. So I'm just trying to remove all the layers of pink and orange. Now, just to demonstrate the difference, I'm going to use my torch, just turning it. I don't need the flame to be too high. And you'll see the difference. Getting much bigger pieces of wax. You can also heat your tool. So, lighting my torch again. So I get this. But as you can see, it's kind of melting the wax. So I think our best method would be to just heat the wax directly. And scrub with our tool. videos if you guys would rather hear me talking, the scraping, or if you'd like for me to put a little bit of background music. So if you could just leave that in the comments, just let me know. Would you have rather had some music on here, or do you like it as is? I would really appreciate it because I do these videos for you guys, and I really want you guys to enjoy them. So if you don't mind leaving a comment, it would be great. If you also have ideas for videos, something that you'd like to see, maybe a technique in an encaustic that you don't quite understand, or something that you've seen in a painting and you wonder, oh, how did that artist do that? You can go ahead and write it in the comments, and I will try to create a video just for you. So pretty. So I'm going to continue to do this until I've gotten most of those pinks, yellows, oranges taking off. I had done quite a few layers, so it might take a while, but I really don't mind. This is a very relaxing process for me. Very calming. You gotta get off your tool at some point, otherwise it starts wanting to fuse back into the canvas. I'm gonna give this another little shot of heat. Too much, because I don't necessarily want to go straight down to the board, because I did coat this with clear encaustic before I started putting color, so ideally if I can skip a step, that would be great, but we'll see together if this is possible. Probably not. I had done a transfer on that first layer as well. I forgot about that. That's why we're starting to see some black, which I also didn't like and decided to cover up with encaustic. So this, I think this painting was pretty much doomed from the start. It happens. They're not all successes. But you don't want to waste that wax, because if you're already doing encaustics, you know how much this costs just in materials. I use pure beeswax. I don't use soy or paraffin, so it gets quite expensive once you calculate the wax and the resin. But it's worth it because you create artworks that are environmentally friendly and that are not toxic. So when I'm heating my canvas, I know that I'm not working with something that's going to make me sick. I had an aunt who was a photographer, and she used to develop her own photos in her, I don't know what you call it, a black room or something like that. And she was doing a special technique with silver, and she actually died when she was less than 40. She had some sort of cancer in her lymph nodes. I think the same cancer that Bob Ross had. So when you're working with all of these chemicals, it can really make you sick. And once you get those sort of cancers, you're pretty much done for. So I decided that I would be working with materials that cannot make me sick. That's why I like working with the inks. I like working with shellac. I was told that shellac is made with beetles, or the wings of beetles or something like that. I'm not really sure. So if I'm wrong about this, you can just pin it in the comments. But I really do try to work with materials that are as safe as possible. Look at all that pretty wax. Almost looks like a flower. A peony, I think they're called. I put this aside. At some point, I might also just leave it as is and put a couple of coats of clear encaustic. I could have done that from the start, but it would have been a waste to have so much wax just covered up, and then I would have ended up with a really thick painting, and I just really didn't like these colors. But as they are now, it really doesn't bother me as much. And if I had that clear over it, it wouldn't pop as much. And I could actually use that in my background somehow. I haven't decided what I'm going to do as far as a painting goes this time. The photo I tried to transfer was actually a really cute photo of my son. He was holding snow, and it was just a really cute winter scene, and I was like, oh, that would look cool. But as I said, when you're doing the photo transfers, if you're using a photo that's just really way too grayscale, then it ends up looking like this, just a blob of gray. I think I'm going to put a little bit more heat. I'm working on an old table that I have been telling myself for years that I need to sand and revarnish. So that's why I don't mind getting my torch so close to it, and sometimes I touch the table. But if you're working on a good table, you really don't want to do this. You're going to have to put like some protective heat mats underneath. So If you love your table, don't do what I'm doing. There we go. I almost got it all now. I'm going to put this in a separate pile because it has a lot of black in it. So it's not going to be in the same color tones. Obviously, I'm not going to be separating the pink and the orange, so I'm going to melt that down. And then if you want, in another video, I could show you what color that gave when I melted it all down. It's probably going to be some sort of an salmon color, I would suppose, since it's a majority of pink, a little bit of orange, some yellow. If you haven't been working with Encaustics for a long time, I recommend that you get at least 3-4 of these tools, because at some point, from pressing on them, these metal things will rip out of the wooden handle. So when you're in the middle of a project, if you don't have a spare, it's kind of annoying, because then you have to order it on Amazon, wait a day or two, depending on where you're ordering it from. So I always keep a couple of these handy. I have some small ones too that I use just to smooth out my canvas, little details. Also going to scrape off this shellac part. The blue here that you see, this was shellac that I used, and you're not going to want to save that part of the wax, because it's gonna just do little clumps. So I'm gonna go on this one very, very lightly, so that I try to just scrape off the shellac and not too much of the wax, since I will be throwing this one out. Hardly any wax wasted. we're going to start attacking this photo transfer. I had put a coat of wax over it, so it's not going to come off straight away, or it might. Okay, no, we're good.